You already know what time it is. Welcome back in to the NFL with AJL, episode 101. We are live on a Tuesday. You could have been anywhere else in the world, but you're right here tapped in with us on the show. Forever grateful for that, as always. Appreciate y'all bearing with us on a bit of a reschedule. A little tardy to the reschedule as well. Was making sure we could get the lighting and the technical difficulties worked out before we went live so we could have a seamless episode 101 for you guys tonight. Hope it's been a solid week. Hope you've been good since we were live with you last time. And as always, before we get the show going, y'all please make sure to like and share the stream wherever you may be watching. Subscribe on YouTube so you never miss a post. Hit the bell to assist you in never missing a post on the YouTube channel as well. That QR code there that just popped up in the corner of the screen will give you every bit of social media and podcast content at NFL with AJL on all social media and podcast platforms. If you can't find me, I promise you're simply not. Before we get started, you can leave a super chat, super like, super thanks over on YouTube. Donate to the show as well. You can DM me on social media or get in the comments to figure out how to donate to the show for the super fans that are out there. And before we get started, we're always sponsored by Buy and Sell with AJL for all your worldwide professional real estate needs. Looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate, this is the team to work with. You can go to their monthly real estate meetups, get on their monthly neighborhood market reports that tell you about certain properties in the area. This is the team that you need to be working with. And then also, we are sponsored by HyperX.com. Head over to the website, use my code AJL that just popped up in the chat. If you're watching us on video and or even on audio as well, HyperX.com, code AJL for 15% off your order. It's a gaming equipment, podcast equipment, headphones, microphone, keyboard, whatever you may need to get started in this space. Make sure you check out HyperX.com. Thank you to them and Buy and Sell and AJL. Buy and Sell with AJL for sponsoring the show. Again, HyperX.com, code AJL for 15% off of your order. And we got a banger for episode 101 tonight as we're going to go over the top 5 NFL draft defensive tackles. Also, NFC North edition for the best first round draft targets. We've had a little bit of a series going on there. It seems like you guys are loving it on social media, and thank you for the love that you always give us on social. And we've had some New Orleans Saints NFL draft rumors considering a couple of quarterbacks in this draft. I've seen a lot of news kicking up on it. I don't think either of them will happen, but as me being a diehard fan and bringing all the Saints content, you know we had to bring it to you guys. So let's start at the top of the show. Top 5 NFL draft defensive tackles. We'll take it at the 5 and go to the 1. At number 5, give me T.J. Sanders out of South Carolina. He's 6'4", 297 pounds, 5 tackles, 5 sacks, no forced fumbles on the season. He's got 9 hits, 19 hurries, 2 batted passes, graded at 82.4 by Pro Football Focus. And he has a pretty even split. Actually, one of the only ones in my top 5 that has a pretty even split of pass rush and run stopping, run defense snaps. Everyone else up here, the 4 through the 1, which we will get to, they all had about a even experience at pass rush and run stopping snaps. But when you take a look at TJ Sanders, this is a guy who is a defensive tackle, as we know, but he plays like a defensive end. He shows the ability to really be effective from multiple alignments and techniques, whether you want him to go with his hand in the dirt, maybe have him stand up, switch him around in some formation, switch his assignments up. He will be able to deliver on that. He's got a good first step and a good bend around blocks as well, I think is what makes him special at the position and puts him in the top 5 for the 2025 NFL draft at his position as a prospect as well. And I think he has some of the best speed, first step and bend around the blockers in this class for the defensive tackle. He's pretty athletic as well. Good closing speed, I would say. Now, his pass rush grades are high and good for the most part too. But when you talk about win rate for defensive tackle, how successful are they actually at winning the rep and completing whatever their job is in the rep, in the situation that they're in defensively as the snap is happening? That true win rate from TJ Sanders is a little low because he'll generate pressure initially with his first step. He's got long arms for the position as well, but he lacks the strength. He lacks those precise hands that you like to see with the real technical defensive linemen and defensive tackles at the next level in the NFL. He lacks that precise handwork and, again, that strength to really win clearly at the point of attack. Now, he does have a variety of pass rush moves, but he does have that inconsistent hand placement, which we did just talk about, him kind of failing to generate that consistent pressure because of some of those hand mishaps. But for the most part, he can also get pushed off the ball by NFL level strength as well. He is kind of an unreliable tackler, diving at ankles more times than not, but his motor does run very well, runs very hot on key downs as well, which you need from someone in the trenches. At number 4, give me Derek Harmon out of Oregon, 6'4", over 300 pounds at 313, 45 tackles, 5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, 7 hits, 43 hurries, 2 batted passes, and he graded at 83.9 per PFF. He led all defensive tackles in the NCAA in pressures with in 2024. Now, he does have very active hands during all of his reps as well. The speed off of the edge for the blockers that he goes up against, I think, is really good, but he could be better at extending his arms off the edge of blocks for, more tackle, more stop opportunities, if you ask me. He is a natural power player. He brings that elite upper body strength, to the table. Really good, really outstanding, actually, spatial awareness and pretty good play recognition skills too. Very essential when you're a defensive tackle. Is it an option? Are they going up the inside? Do you have to bounce out the outside to go get a more athletic speed type of back? He's got those qualities within him. He's an elite bull rusher. And when you look at his tape, though, I did feel like there were multiple sacks or tackles that he left on the field, really left on the tape that got away from him, especially at the end of plays. I don't know if it was just the offense executing quicker on, on their parts, or rather on his parts of the field within the, steps or timing of the play that the offense is in. If that was because of his pressure, because of his presence, I'm not sure. Maybe it's a focus aspect of Derek Harmon. Not really sure on that aspect either. And sometimes he can get stuck on blocks. So he does need to develop some of his counter moves. At number 3, 2 of the top 3 defensive tackles in this draft are out of the University of Michigan. And at number 3, we're going to start with Kenneth Grant, 6'4", 331 pounds, 32 tackles. Oh, excuse me. 3 sacks, no forced fumbles, 1 hit, 23 hurries, 5 batted passes. He did grade at 83.7. This guy's an absolute punisher. He is arguably the biggest punisher in the draft at this position, and I think he competes with his teammate Mason Graham in this aspect, no question about it. Very high level strength off the snap. He is pretty deceptively quick around the edge for his size as well. Again, 6'4", 330 plus pounds. He's consistently overpowering offensive linemen, really backing them up into a pocket, creating a muddy, unclean, pressured pocket for a quarterback, and just making it tougher on the quarterback in the play as well. Now, if the offensive lineman that he's going up against, if their technique isn't sound or they aren't really respecting Kenneth Grant's game, he will swim around that initial point of contact, be ready to wreck the play really like off the rip. If, again, you do not get good hands on him and leverage yourself as an offensive lineman within your stance. And when he gets to the quarterback, he did only have 3 sacks this season, but when he does get to the quarterback, it's a vicious takedown. It's going to affect the quarterback's composure. I mean, it just looks violent watching it on the tape. He does have a very good motor as well, and is always showcasing his athleticism. So I've got Kenneth Grant out of Michigan at number 3. At number 2, give me Walter Nolan out of Ole Miss, 6'4", 296 pounds, a very athletic, loose, fluid 296 pounds for Walter Nolan, 48 tackles, 6.5 sacks, no forced fumbles, 4 hits, 25 hurries, 2 batted passes. He did grade at an 88.9 for Pro Football Focus, and his long arms, I think, really jump out on the tape for him. He's really able to bend and swing around the edges of blocks to crowd the pocket or also get to the ball carrier. I think he's very good at pushing the offensive line back in their stance or really on their heels too, and a good tendency to shuck or overpower the first move that's actually thrown at him to get leverage, to win the rep up front, to get through the entire situation that he's in. And I think he's pretty good at fighting through and getting around those up high blocking techniques that are used against him at times. And, and again, if kind of like with Kenneth Grant, if your technique and stance is not on point with a pass rusher, with a defensive tackle in this draft like Walter Nolan, you're not going to stand a chance in the rep against him. And he can deal with being chipped. He can deal with being double teamed at times. And that's an aspect we've started to see as time goes on. It's more of an offensively driven league. So you want to create time for those bigger chunk plays. You might have to double team a guy like Walter Nolan, like an Aaron Donald, like a Cam Jordan, like a, TJ Watt, like a Joey Bosa, or Nick Bosa like we see in the league. And if you're able to deal with getting chipped, getting double team, I think that adds a lot to your draft stock and really your sought after characteristic as a prospect, for lack of better words. A lot of tackles in pursuit behind the ball carrier too, and he's outstretched, actually reaching for the ankles of the ball carrier. I think, to me, that shows his willingness to pursuit and the effort to really get through an entire play. He's got good patience, good vision, like a lot of the prospects in this class do. But even if he gets taken out of the play, he can find his way back for a tackle. I like Walter Nolan in this draft a lot. It's like he's a defensive end light, but he's just a little too big and a little too slow to be a DN, which is why he's playing defensive tackle. And that's not to knock Walter Nolan at all, because I think he is a very, very solid prospect. And that's why he comes in at number 2 on the defensive tackle list. And then at number 1, the best defensive tackle in the 2025 NFL draft, give me Mason Graham, also out of Michigan, right next to Kenneth Grant. 6'4", 296 pounds, 46 tackles, 5 sacks, no forced fumbles as well, 9 hits, 20 hurries, 1 batted pass on the year. He did great at 91.1 for PFF, so the highest grade in the class. And his play style is a mix of a bull rush, kind of a technique around the edge of the blockers that he goes up against as well, some good spatial awareness to really track down the ball carrier and to stuff a run if he needs to. He's good at stretching off the edges to make a stop as running back kind of try to get past him. That's very important. If you're engaged in a block, you can kind of reach out to the side, get those plays that are literally next to you, but are you skilled enough to get out of the block that you're engaged in with a high-level lineman in the NFL and be able to complete that play for your defense? He's constantly collapsing the pocket into the lap of the quarterback too. He has pass rushing capabilities big time, I think, for a defensive tackle. He can split a double team if he needs to. We watched him handle that at Michigan. And if there's any sort of pause or hesitation, disruption at the line, Mason Graham's going to sniff it out, and he's more than likely going to go make a play. I think that's what makes him number 1 in this class, what makes him so special in this class as the number 1 NFL draft defensive tackle for 2025. Number 1, Mason Graham out of Michigan. Number 2, Walter Nolan out of Ole Miss. Number 3, Kenneth Grant out of Michigan. Number 4, Derek Harmon out of Oregon. And number 5, TJ Sanders out of South Carolina. Here we have our NFC North edition of the best first-round draft targets for each team. The best first-round pick for every NFL team, NFC North edition for the 2025 NFL draft. We have the Packers drafting 23rd. And when you take a look into their situation, I think all signs point towards wide receiver, because we know they have Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs and a little bit Jalen Reed and some Dotavian Wicks mixed in there. And they just brought in Mecole Hardman. But when you look at what the Packers have been in totality at the wide receiver position over the last couple of years, I feel like they've had some solid upper round picks at the position, specifically Doubs and Watson, and it's just not clicking for them yet. And that's not to say that those players aren't capable of performing up to the standard that they were drafted to be, but the NFC is getting tougher every single day. Jordan Love is a top quarterback in the league, one of the better quarterbacks in the league. Let me not say top, one of the better quarterbacks in the league. He's one of the better quarterbacks in his conference, and he needs reliable pass catchers. Yes, you bring in Mecole Hardman. He's a speedster. He's a, special teams, versatile weapon type of player. But Christian Watson coming off a major knee injury, and he, that position in general at wide receiver for Green Bay had a very disappointing end to the year. Packers have a good mix of young talent, some experience at receiver in 2025. Again, you're going to see some of that in Christian Watson as well. But if you're looking for a long-term person that can really provide you health and an elite level of playmaking at the pass catching position, whether you look at that as a wide receiver or a tight end, you're going to look for that at wide receiver in this draft because it is a good wide receiver draft. because they only have 2 receivers under contract for 2026. That's Jaden Reed. That's Dontavian Wicks. Again, Christian Watson coming off a major injury. Romeo Doubs had 2 concussions and a 1-game suspension last year. Dontavian Wicks dropped way too many passes during a disappointing second season. So all of these things, as they pile up, you have to take a look at wide receiver. Jaden Reed might be the only sure player at the position, and even he suffered a second half slump last year. So there's not a lot of promising things happening for the Packers at the wide receiver position. And I think that's why you have to go and take a look at either Emeka Ibuka. I think he'll be gone by 23, but if the Packers could land him, I think him and Jordan Love would be special. Or Matthew Golden, the speedster, top receiver in this draft as well. I think I had him number 3 ahead of Luther Burden. Behind T-Mac, I got Emeka Ibuka at 1. T-Mac will be gone by number 23, I'm sure. But even if T-Mac's there, again, to Terrell McMillan, go and get him. We got the Minnesota Vikings drafting 24th. And I think you got to really take a look at their secondary. I think they need a corner. And that corner could come in the form of Jahdae Barron out of Texas or Will Johnson out of Michigan. Michigan got some dogs in the draft this year. They really do. Now, here's the thing about the Vikings. They led the NFL in interceptions with 24 last year as a defense, but they gave up the 5th most passing yards as a defense and the most receptions by far in the league last year defensively. They were in the middle of the pack for completion percentage allowed, but you do just bring in Isaiah Rodgers from the Eagles. You did bring back Byron Murphy. You re-signed him, who they're good, not great, or even lockdown corners. They can do the job when you ask them to. But I don't think anybody here is going to be really counting on those 2 guys to be lockdowns for you. It's just not who they're asked to be. And I don't think the Vikings are willing to go into a more loaded NFC season next year, seeing how the Lions are getting better, seeing how the Commanders have arrived, seeing how the Rams are trying to make a push. A lot of those are great offensive teams. You're going to need a corner to be able to keep up with that. You do have Harrison Smith at safety. You need a corner to keep up with the Amon-Ra St. Browns, with the Terry McLaurins, with the Devontae Adams of the world. I'm just saying. And I'll give respect to Byron Murphy. I will. I'll give plenty of respect to Byron Murphy because I do like him as a player. I do. And he's got a respectable play style. He does. And when you go and look into his numbers, his overall grades as a corner, he's number 1 in interceptions for corners this year with 6. It's impressive. But I don't know if we're going to sit here and call Byron Murphy a lockdown corner. I think you're looking at Jahdae Barron. I think you're looking at Will Johnson. I think that's the best picks. I think that is the best pick for the Vikings out of one of those 2 players. Because when you look at their depth chart, I like Jonathan Allen on the defensive line. I like Javon Hargrave. You can maybe take a look at linebacker, but I don't know if there's any really first-round linebackers in this draft, however you want to classify linebacker. Yeah, maybe you're taking a look at Jalen Walker. If you want to classify Mykel Williams as that, I guess you can do that too. But when you break it down with the interceptions, with the completion percentage, with the amount of passing yards, with the amount of receptions that you let up, I think that's why you're taking a look at corner in this draft. I really do. Let's move on to the Detroit Lions drafting 28th. I think they need an edge rusher big time. Jack Sawyer or Nick Scorton could really be in play here. The Lions were 23rd in total sacks on the year, 25th in pass rush win rate at 35%. I think they need somebody opposite Aiden Hutchinson, especially since Zadarius Smith left. Zadarius Smith came in and did a solid job filling in. He did exactly what he was asked to do. filling in with Aiden Hutchinson being out on injury. And I like the Lions in a lot of positions. I really do. I think you could argue they could use another wide receiver, but they got to monitor on Jameson Williams. We know how solid the offensive line is. And I like Brian Branch, DJ Reed, Kirby Joseph out there in the secondary, Jack Campbell, DJ Reader, Aleem McNeil, Aiden Hutchinson. Whenever Marcus Davenport decides to play a little well, you've got him to potentially rely on. But another edge rusher in this draft would be a power shot for the Detroit Lions. And y'all know how I feel about Jack Sawyer. He is underrated on a lot of boards. I think he is a first-round edge rusher. Very good at what he does. Very solid at the position. And the Lions have to be able to get after the quarterback at a higher level in a better division that seems to be improving every year. They are the team to beat in this division, battling it out with the Vikings, and the Bears are, going to have something to say about it. And even the Packers will as well. A lot of you out there probably put the Packers over the Vikings. But I think you got to look at an edge rusher at number 28. I think the Lions are solid at really every other position. So go and get an edge rusher. Go and get a game changer off the edge to help the rest of your defense. And then we got the Chicago Bears drafting 10th overall. I think they also need to go after an edge rusher. And I think the player that is in play for them is James Pierce Jr. out of Tennessee. Abdul Carter is going to be gone. James Pierce is ranked higher on a lot of boards, and I think James Pierce is the second best defensive end in this draft as well. He is just one notch below Abdul Carter for me. I love the strength that James Pierce brings to the table. Sawyer has something to say about it for sure, but I think James Pierce is going to be the pick here for the Bears at 10. Some are saying running back. I like what DeAndre Swift and Roschon Johnson are going to be able to bring to the table and what we've seen them do already a little bit. I think it's kind of crazy how DeAndre Swift just doesn't get the respect, like he didn't have a solid season with Philadelphia before Saquon Barkley came in. I feel like the success of Saquon Barkley in the Super Bowl just kind of covers up what DeAndre Swift was good at with the Eagles last year. And DeAndre Swift is a solid running back, all things considered. We saw him go from the Lions, Eagles. Now he's with the Bears. And I think Ben Johnson's going to be able to bring a lot out of them. That's why I don't think running back. I think James Pierce, the edge rusher out of Tennessee, will be the pick here for the Bears. The Bears were 16th in sacks last year, and they were 24th in pass rush win rate as well at 37%, just a tick higher than the Lions, who were 25th at 35%. And you see the Bears improving. You see the Bears go and rebuild their offensive line. You see they have Roma Dunes. They have DJ Moore, Olamide Zaccheaus. Years ago, Tez Sweat can be a provider. You could look at a secondary player. You got Jaquan Brisker, Jalen Johnson, Tyreek Stevenson, like good players that you know by name in that secondary. But the edge rusher position, I think, is what is really needing the most attention here. And I think that's where the Bears will go, is edge rusher at number 10. So the first round NFL draft targets for 2025, NFC North edition. The Packers at 23, I think they need to get a wide receiver. The Vikings at 24, I think they need to get a corner. The Lions at 28, they need to go get an edge rusher. And then the Bears drafting 10th, I think they need to go get an edge rusher as well. MP, what's up? I hear he's an idiot, literally. Pierce, I mean, would prefer Kenneth Grant as a sleeper pick. Yeah, but I don't know if Bears are going to go defensive tackle. They very well could, because some people view defensive tackle and edge rusher as like really an interchangeable, interchangeable position. But to me, you have to ask yourself, do you want more run stopping capability with the defensive tackle, or more athleticism, edge rusher, disrupt the quarterback, sacks, disrupt the passing game with an edge rusher? Or you can get a versatile guy like Nick Scorton if you want, or you can get a versatile guy like Kenneth Grant. So I see what you mean there, MP, for sure. Thank you for tapping in on the show. Thank you for commenting, man. Like and share wherever you may be watching, please. And thank you, my brother. Last topic of the show here. Short one for episode 101, but I still wanted to get you guys some content. Saints NFL draft rumors that we've heard circulating the league. And I'm going to do my best to be realistic and keep it cool here with these topics that the Saints have been involved in. There's rumors of the Saints trading up for Cam Ward. Almost said Cam Jordan. And if the Saints traded up to either 2 or 1 to get Cam Ward, that means you would have to give up a haul of draft picks. You would have to give up a ransom. And that is something the New Orleans Saints are not in a position to do, considering how many holes are on this roster. And now I would enjoy a potential superstar type of player in Cam Ward because we know that he is capable of being such a player. But it makes me nervous to still have Mickey Loomis involved in this rebuild. I'm going to be nervous until the end of time with Mickey Loomis, right? And, I'm wondering if at some point I'll have to accept that we'll just always have to take gambles with an incompetent fool in the front office like Mickey. Because we know that he'll have control over the head coach. We saw Kellen Moore say, hey, he's rolling with Derek Carr. We know that Mick loves Derek Carr. I hope Kellen Moore is not a yes man, but so far as of what we've seen, Mickey has that control. I don't want Mickey to continue to handicap Kellen Moore if he decides to go up and get Cam Ward because of whatever the hell Mickey believes in his football brain and the philosophies that he think are still relevant and existing in the National Football League in 2025. Now, I would love the talent that Cam Ward would bring to the table. Cam Ward's had rumors of wanting to be here. I think he said it would be a dream at the NFL Combine to play for the Saints. Coach Moore, offensive minded, coming off winning a Super Bowl. Like he would enjoy that. And I think Kellen Moore could get a lot of great things out of Cam Ward. I think he really could. I think he could be credited early on in his head coaching career for building up Cam Ward as a potential franchise quarterback. Because we know that the Saints need better talent at the quarterback position. It's not a question of would the Saints like to have Cam Ward? Duh. A lot of teams in the NFL this year that are quarterback needy, even though there's not too many of them, would probably like Cam Ward. Let's just call it what it is. He's one of the top prospects in this game. Only Shedeur Sanders ahead of him at the position. And some have Cam ahead of Shedeur, which I'm not going to knock you for. I just think Cam's mechanics could be a little better. He plays a little too much backyard football for me. So it's not a question of would I want the New Orleans Saints to trade up and get Cam Ward? Because of course I would. We've picked a quarterback once in the franchise's existence in the first round, and it was Archie Manning. We've been lost since Drew Brees has left. I always sit here and wonder what a Sean Payton and Jameis Winston led Saints at 5-2 before Jameis tore his ACL at home against the Bucs could be. So it's not a sense of being too good for Cam Ward, but it makes me nervous because of the offensive line. It makes me nervous because of Mickey Loomis. Now, Cam Ward ran around behind an offensive line that was definitely giving him hell in college. Same thing with Shedeur. But we need more offensive talent. We need to build up a better defense for a guy like Cam Ward, who clearly had to always be clutch in college with Miami because their defense was bad. It's tough to actually consider your favorite sports team making a move of this magnitude when you don't trust the people running the organization. Honestly. because I don't think there's a realistic world where we trade up for Cam Ward. And I don't know if we're the best landing spot for him. Now, if I sit down on April 24th and Roger Goodell gets up on the stage at the NFL draft with the 9th pick in the 2025 NFL draft, the New Orleans Saints select Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders. Shedeur at 9. Or if we get into the draft and the Saints trade up to 1 or trade up to 2, we know it's happening. We know it's happening. And I would be excited as hell if the Saints did draft Cam Ward, because we know the type of talent that he has. And just imagining a quarterback of that pedigree in the New Orleans black and gold with the fleur-de-lis on the side of the helmet would be magical. Because I've said I would rather the Saints strike out on a franchise quarterback year after year trying than stay stuck with what you got in Derek Carr or Jake Haener or Spencer Rattler, which is probably, the quarterback room this year. I do think Cam Ward could transform the offense with Kellen Moore. Saints could become one of the most feared offenses in the league with those two running the show. It's not a doubt of that. It's just, do I really trust this team in this situation that they're in with all the holes that we have? Because I kind of am a firm believer of you build from the inside and then you go out. Start with the trenches, then you move out. Some teams grab their quarterback up front first when they're so generational. Can't blame them for doing that either. I won't blame them for doing that either if they're looking for the franchise quarterback, because it is the most important position in the game. And if you don't have a quarterback, if you don't have a top quarterback in the league, your chances of picking for a top quarterback in the league next year are even higher. Funny how that comes around, huh? Trading up for Cam Ward would be crazy. It would. It would. Because what do you have to give up for it? At least 2 firsts. You're swapping this year's first, giving up a first for the following year, maybe even a second or a third for the following year, and possibly a player. Again, I don't think we'll do it. I don't. But would I be happy if we did? Of course. Of course. Because it would show a new life, a new maybe sense of a calculated risk, if you will, with the Saints, instead of running it back with the same thing over and over and over and over again. Now, does that mean Cam Ward's contract could get restructured multiple times and kick the money into the future years? For sure, because that same pedigree is still available in the New Orleans Saints. But bringing in some sort of promise at the quarterback position would be phenomenal. We've also got some rumors of the Saints picking Shedeur Sanders at number 9, or Shedeur basically falling to the Saints at number 9. Shedeur is being mock drafted to New Orleans at 9 in some situations as well. And if the Saints pick Shedeur at 9, that would be better for me than trading up to go get either of these quarterbacks. Do I want either of these guys learning from Derek Carr? God, no. But would I appreciate them being on my team, being ran by Kellen Moore, hopefully with more offensive talent at that point in the season when it comes forward? You damn right I would be. Absolutely, I would be. Do I think Shedeur Sanders is a game-changing quarterback? Legendary Hall of Famer? No, I'm not going to go as far as that. But I think the kid could be a franchise quarterback who's very good at the podium, has showed us that he is a solid quarterback at the collegiate level and is ready to play football at the highest level possible in the National Football League. And we know that the Saints need a quarterback. There's no beating around the bush about that subject. There's not. I would like Shedeur at 9. I would. But it still makes me nervous because of the lack of offensive talent. The offensive line. Is Mickey going to meddle with Kellen Moore? Thankfully, Shedeur ran like crazy in his 2 years, running from pressure behind the O-line at Colorado. Never complained about it, though. Never heard him throwing his teammates under the bus about it because he knew that was the situation he was in. So maybe he could withstand that with the Saints. Maybe he could. The Saints picking Shedeur at 9 would be much better than the Saints trading up and taking Cam Ward at 1 or 2. Because the amount of draft capital that you would have to give up to go get said quarterback when you already have plenty of needs in this draft will be a head scratcher for a lot of people. A lot of people will respect the risk, but a lot of people will also be pissed as well. If Shedeur falls to you at 9, and I guess you don't take him, then I'll have a lot to say because he would have been sitting there waiting for you. Literally waiting for you. I don't know if the Saints get in either of these positions. I don't. I really don't. But if either of these opportunities can present themselves, then I think you take your chances. Because there's reports that Arch Manning's not guaranteed to go to the draft next year. I'm not sold on Nico Iamaleava. I'm not sold on Garrett Nussmeier. We still need to see more of Arch Manning if he's even coming out of the draft in 2026. So this could very well be the year to land your guy at the quarterback position. But the question is, will you do it? The question is, if the opportunity presents itself, will you do it? Again, the news is kicking up. The news is kicking up. The rumors are increasing. The mock drafts are coming out. And we're seeing the reports. Now, I get it. This is part of the offseason. This is what happens. It's a lot of hype. A lot of overrated statements happen in this part of the NFL year. I'm totally aware of that. But for some reason, it feels like a possibility. I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments on this one as we have Saints NFL draft rumors of trading up for Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders being mock drafted and falling to the New Orleans Saints at number 9 in the 2025 NFL draft. That was episode 101 of the NFL with AJL. I appreciate everybody jumping into the show tonight, as you could have been anywhere else in the world, but you were right here tapped in with me on the show. And for that, I'm forever grateful. Y'all, please make sure to like and share that stream wherever you may be watching. Subscribe on YouTube. Hit the bell so you never miss a post. Also, this QR code on the corner of the screen will give you every bit of social media and podcast content at NFL with AJL on all social media and podcast platforms. If you can't find me, you're simply not looking hard enough. Please don't forget that we are sponsored by Buy and Sell with AJL for all your worldwide professional real estate needs, and by HyperX.com. Use code AJL at checkout for 15% off your order. My microphones, headphones, keyboards, podcasting and gaming equipment over there at HyperX.com. If you'd like to leave a super chat, a super thanks, a super like down in the comments, I think specifically on YouTube, you'll be able to donate directly to the show. Or if you want to get in the comments, DM me on social media to figure out how you can donate directly to the NFL with AJL. I will let you guys know. No donation is too big or too small. And whatever you might have to offer to the show, we will greatly appreciate it. Thank you all again for tuning into episode 101 tonight, for bearing with us. Again, you could have been anywhere else in the world. I love y'all. I need y'all. And I will see you guys in the next one.